Welcome to Stories with Steve, a podcast on the Central Buna Podcast Network. Every Thursday in 5 minutes or less, we'll lift you up with stories of how God works behind the scenes in our lives. Romans 8:28 tells us that God works all things together for the good of those who are called according to his purpose. Now with an encouraging story, here's Steve.
So in the book Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, which became a musical and became a movie, the character Jean Valjean was a thief. He was in a hard prison for 19 years labor. And when he gets out, a priest or bishop finds him and invites him in and gives him a meal and extends love and extends grace to him, even though he's a bitter man in his life. Well, he turns around. Instead of appreciating, he turns around and steals utensils and gets caught by the police. And so they bring him back. They realize where he stole from and says, hey, this man stole from you. He says, oh, no, that was a gift. And so he says, and you forgot to take the candles. So by him extending the grace to him, it ended up changing his life in the story. And I thought about that in the area of forgiveness, right? It's easy to talk about the Christian life. Sometimes it's not as easy to practice. And one of the hardest things, of course, is the area of forgiveness. And along those lines, I think about my grandmother who really modeled the Christian faith in her life. I remember there was a young man that stole something off her property. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was out of a shed or something. She had several people working for her. And somehow it came to light that he stole it. And so the mother called her one day and said, would you please not press charges against my son? He's got problems, this and that. And I remember my grandmother saying, he's forgiven. And I just remember what a powerful testimony that was to me, that she could do that. And that just really meant a lot. And talking about forgiveness, I knew another guy named Daryl, and this guy had a great personality, and we did business together. He had a Christian magazine, and we would always do business, and he would, write receipts. But he owed me money for services rendered, and he never paid me, and I didn't hear from him for a long time. And so I found out who was his pastor, and I said, hey, what's going on with this guy? I haven't heard from him in a while. And he told me the reality that I didn't want to hear. He said, look, Daryl is a crack cocaine addict, and so he's sincere, but when he gets money in his hands, he can't help himself. And I said, well, you know what? I get it. I forgive him. And the pastor said, God's going to bless you for doing that. The problem with unforgiveness is bitterness grows in our life. Somebody said forgiveness is like being a prisoner, and the prisoner is you. And some people hold bitterness their whole life, and they'll bitter against somebody even after they're dead. I asked a tow truck driver one time, I said, hey, what's the weirdest place you've ever had to tow somebody out of? And he goes, a cemetery. And I go, wow, I thought maybe somebody was going too fast and went to a cemetery. He said, no, somebody was mad at somebody that had died, and so they plowed their vehicle into a cemetery, ran over other vehicles, destroyed their vehicle, destroyed other graves to get back at the person that was already dead. And I thought, now that's an extreme issue. I said, but in a way, people live like that, right? They live their whole life with unforgiveness, and it's not good for us healthy. It's not good for us spiritually. The Lord tells us to forgive. It's not always easy, but it always is a choice. And I wrote a poem a few years ago I just wanted to share. It's basically called, I Choose to Forgive. They wounded me way down deep inside. The way that I hurt, I cannot hide. My head screams hate, but my heart cries love. I'll follow my heart with help from above. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. Those simple words make all things true. If I let it stay, it will grow like cancer. If I give it to God, he'll give me the answer. I can let it die or let it live. It's my choice. I choose to forgive. And it really is a choice. And I just want to encourage you to choose to forgive whoever's wronged you, and realize that we should forgive as Christ has forgiven us. Thanks so much for listening. I'd love to know your story. Remember, you've got a story to tell.